charges against Perry. We bring in our panel. We have Evan McMorris-Santoro of BuzzFeed, Lynn Sweet of the Chicago Sun-Times, and our very own Joy Reid, host of The Reid Report, which you can see here daily on MSNBC. So, yeah, this caught me by surprise yesterday. I know we did a little thing on this show about it a while back, and I didn't think it was going to actually lead to a criminal indictment, let alone one that brings 99 years in prison. I got to say, I'm looking at this. I don't think there's much of a legal case here. I think this is. I'm really surprised this has been brought against it. Democrat, Republican, to me, it doesn't matter. This is a line-item veto. The governors, a lot of governors have this authority, and they get to exercise it. And if you have a problem with it, the punishment should come legislatively. This is something that should be handled by the legislative branch. Impeachment would be the most significant punishment you could bring. I don't know that on something like a use of line-item veto, the judicial branch should be getting involved. But that's...
You know, it was shocking. I agree with you. When I saw this come across my Twitter feed last night, I was like, what? I thought was like The Onion or something tweeting it out, because it is weird. But I mean, look, the Texas governor is a weak governorship. It's a much weaker governorship than most of the other governorships. One of the few sort of independent powers that the Texas governor has. I mean, he's even weak relative to the lieutenant governor in Texas, as part of kind of the post-Civil War reconstruction kind of creation of that state and its constitution imposed on it technically by the Union, right? So you have one of the few powers that the governor can exercise independently is this line-item veto, the ability to veto. But I think it's the linkage of that veto to basically a demand that another elected official step down. That's the problem that Perry has.
I guess, as I was saying to Tony, that the thing that I have trouble putting in my mind there is if he doesn't articulate that, though, he has that power. And if in his mind he's like, if she won't resign, if she won't take my hint, then I'm going to veto it out. There's no crime.
Well, now they're saying, though, that there might be a crime, because just think, you have one public official saying, you're not doing your job, you should step down, and I'm going to pressure you to do that. Then that is what is discussing. Now, I know we're all surprised, but in the meantime, though, the context of this is also, it's not only Democrats that have been pursuing these ethics charges against Texans Tom DeLay, Kay Bailey Hutchinson, but as most of you know, or maybe our viewers don't know, there is a whole Democratic movement in Texas called Battleground Texas, right, where some veterans of the Obama administration are down there doing what they call a people-driven,
turn the state blue,
metric-driven campaign. They're already all over this. So, yes, it does seem to me legally it would be perhaps hard to convict, though I could see the rationale for the indictment. But in the meantime, this is going to give an organizing group stuff to organize.
Well, I mean, I think this whole thing is just completely fraught with politics. There's very little that Democrats control in Texas in the government. I mean, Perry said it in the interview that he's been governor for 14 years. I mean, this whole thing, this whole government is Rick Perry's creation.
Now they're surprised.
Right, and so you have the sort of weird way their law works down there. That you have the DA for Austin, Texas, obviously not the most conservative part of Texas, has this power to investigate the government for corruption or whatever. And then so you have sort of cases that they're bringing that against Tom DeLay, for example, that sort of caused a lot of issues and caused a lot of anger among Republicans. And you've got and then you have this DA down there who, I mean, the video, you showed the mugshot. That's not a great thing for anyone to have on their political record. And then you have, an ability of Republicans to move in and try to seize some control of this agency that they don't like. Meanwhile, Democrats have this indictment to point to Rick Perry trying to change his ethics board to stop it from investigating his government near the end of power. But also, we saw some calls for him to resign last night. We saw, Democrats are jumping all over this, from the national Democrats who want to talk about his 2016 prospects, and now he's Chris Christie, and now he's whatever, and local Democrats who are saying that he should resign. I mean, I think the hard thing about this whole issue is that there is sort of the legal issues, and I agree with you. I think that legally, I think we're going to see this sort of work out and maybe not be as tough on Perry as it looked like. But the politics are really rough here, and it's rough for both sides in a way. I mean, Perry does have legal questions to answer about why are you defunding an agency that is questioning cancer research funding that you're allegedly.
But at the same time, I wonder how because we're so used to, like, the headline "governor indicted" should kill anybody's political career. We just sort of assume, and generally that's true. But I wonder if in this case, in a court of public, Chicago here, but in the court of public opinion, if it's like, look, she's 3 times over the legal limit, she's running the public integrity unit for the state, she's on tape, basically trying to pull rank with the people who arrest her. And yeah, I'm going to use my power as governor to try to get her to resign. I think that's a pretty easy thing to sell publicly.
He could have done that the right way. Use the bully pulpit to pressure her to resign. Use the bully pulpit to whatever his procedure is to get rid. If you think there's whatever it is in Texas and how you get rid of somebody who's not doing a public duty, though in most parts of the country they call that an election.
I get that, but the point of the point, if you read this indictment seems to be saying, if I'm getting it right, it seems to be saying that if he kept this all in his head and he came up with some trumped up reason for vetoing out funding for this agency, for the district attorney, it's totally fine. It's that he's steps forward and says this is what it's all about.
Blagojevich is sitting in prison for 14 years for shooting off his mouth.
For articulating it,
what you said.
Right.
And the thing is that no matter what happens, the bad thing about trials is the discovery. And you don't know what, it's never a good look to be the person on the other end of that indictment because discovery is deadly usually.
I'm not saying this is a plus for Rick Perry. I'm just wondering how big of a minus it is.
That'd be a heck of a jail cell, Blagojevich and Perry, right?
Yes, there's a post-prison show waiting for them too if they ever came to that. Anyway, criticism over the speed of the response by officials in Missouri, in particular Governor Jay Nixon. That angle of the Ferguson story. That's when we return.